Hello and welcome everybody to the 9th week of the Oberry Builders Cup Series, the Paradigm 260 from virtual Pocono Raceway. I'm Sheldon Atkins, joined in the booth by Taylor Burris, and down the production truck we have Austin Derbyshire. Taylor, how's it going this evening, man?
Well, we are here at the Tricky Triangle, and I got to say, Sheldon, it is a phenomenal circuit here. And, of course, with the new revamp that we've seen, thanks to iRacing with this track, it is looking better than ever before, and I'm looking forward to seeing the action here happening at the Tricky Triangle.
Yes, absolutely. At the cost of our wonderful producer's frame rate and probably getting that kitchen of his over there in that wonderful apartment really cooking for Derbyshire over there. So look at the nice view of the track here from Google Earth. 2.5 miles. Each one of these corners unique in their own way, based off of three of the most iconic ovals in the early days of IndyCar racing. Take a quick peek here at the championship standings. Justin Levine leading the points right now by 33 over Patrick Gitter in second. But Sean Conklin, the biggest mover, last week coming in, sitting at 12th. This week, up to 4th. It's just a matter of time before this man gets up here and takes over the top spot. And Derek Heitman also moving through pretty quick into the 5th.
As we look through here, a couple of other drivers who have been watching making their way up through the field. Matt DeCiani has quite a bit of work to do. Same thing with Roger Pierce. Colby Jackson, after a couple of rough runs earlier this season, is trying to find his way back. But, of course, one thing we got to talk about also, Sheldon, is we had a couple of drivers not show up last week, so a couple of drop weeks, so that changes the outcome of some of these drivers.
Yeah, definitely going to change the complexion of things as we get deeper into it. But let's talk about those keys to the race here, Taylor. What do you have in store for us here for 105 laps at the Tricky Triangle?
Well, one of the things we have to talk about is this track is all about fuel mileage here. You got to be prepared to make some changes in your adjustments, know when to pit, try to stretch that fuel as long as you can. And with how many different corners you can utilize that and the different bankings, make sure to put that car in clutch and just try to coast it through to try to save as much fuel as possible. Another thing that we got to talk about is managing your pit road. This track is a long time to get around under caution. So this gives you a great opportunity to try and repair damage, make adjustments if you need to in the car. Spend a little extra time on pit road to where you can be able to get back out there, maybe gain a couple of spots if the opportunity presents itself. And finally, got to talk about, this is the first time on a triangle that we are running with the new tire model compared to the road courses that we saw. So this will be an interesting situation to see how these drivers race around this circuit with that new tire model. Talk to some drivers. Some of the drivers are saying that the new tire model is going to be a lot of not a major wear and tear like we saw in previous tire models. So see how these drivers put them to use here tonight.
I'll tell you too, talking about fuel mileage there at the top of the board there for you. One thing that I noticed, and I learned it the hard way Tuesday night when I was running here in A-Open, fuel saving is going to be a lot more difficult because you can't really turn the car off anymore. It just turns off the dashboard and your mirror. So you cannot cycle the motor until you're down at pace speed. Anyway, enough of that. We're going to get into the broadcast picks of the race here today. I'm going to have to go with that 5 machine of Matt DeCiani. I just feel like when we come to these big tracks, those Team Conti cars really bring a lot of extra speed, and I feel like that 5's going to be somebody to watch here tonight. Who you got, Burris?
I'm going to go with the Rebel Elephant himself, Mr. Spaceman, Austin Edstrom. He's going to have a little bit of work to do here tonight in the running order, but I think he might have something lined up.
And Darby is going to go with Pasalacqua here in the 6th machine, and that's also a really good pick. We're talking about the tire model being a little bit different, and if there's somebody that I can think of that can adapt to an ever-changing tire scenario, I feel like that 6 car is going to be one to watch as well. Anyway, let's get on to our starting grid here, see where everybody shook out in qualifying. Currently on the pole, Sean Conklin with Roger Pierce in second. Starting in the second row, Evan Say with Alex Coffey in 4th. 5th place going to Paul Bergoli with Brandon Pasalacqua in 6th. 7th place off the grid here is going to be Lou Christian with Chris Hudson with a really good qualifying lap starting in 8th. Then running out your top 10 here is going to be Joseph Causey and Paul Hill.
Corey Moore is going to be starting in 11th place from Richmond, Virginia, followed by Chris Crosby from South Boston, Virginia. Tim Wortman and Chris Vinson will be in 13th and 14th, followed by Justin Levine from Brooklyn, New York, and Matt DeCiani from Chicago, Illinois. 17th and 18th will go to Joseph Gulata from Blue Point, New York, and Council Bluffs, Iowa's Derek Heitman. rounding out your top 20 is going to be Tommy Gossett from Smyrna, Tennessee, and Huntsville, Alabama, the spaceman himself, Austin Edstrom, rounding out your top 20.
In 21st place, we got Brian Johnson with Randy Mullen starting 22nd. 23rd, Chris Davis with the corn machine of Josh Schaffner starting to his outside here. Wait, hang on, I'm getting shuffled here by the grid. Thank you, iRacing. Hold on. Let's see. All right, we are looking at Paul Gallimore right now in 24th with Chad Kibbe to his outside in 26th. 27th, we got Greg. Everything is messing up here.
We got Greg,
We
got Greg Carr from Avila, Florida. John Bender from Oshaska, Wisconsin. Richard Kleiman from Las Vegas, Nevada. Shane Clore will be in 30th. And rounding out your 32-car field, Randy Belt from Athens, Tennessee. And Joshua Hyatt from Kannapolis, North Carolina.
Apologies for my numerous technical difficulties here to start out. iRacing loves to throw me curveballs at the last second here with the starting grid, but currently, Sean Conklin and Roger Ears Pierce leading these guys to the green flag. Now, we saw a lot of chaos last night in NIS and a lot of moments that we were probably better off not to speak about going forward here. Taylor, how you feeling about the attrition levels here today, knowing that this is a really well-rounded league of drivers?
This really is going to be the best, but we'll have to see how it all plays out because Sheldon, they're coming to take that green flag, and away they go. A little bit of a stack up, though, on that fourth row. One driver did not get a good shift as they take their way through, heading off into turns one right now, and drivers jockeying for position. A couple of three wide further back as they head into the turn one. A couple of drivers just giving way, knowing we got a long race to go as they rocket down the Long Pond, Pennsylvania straightaway.
Yeah, we're talking about the aggression on restarts being a huge key here at Pocono, and Justin Levine showing that very early. You saw he was the first car to dip down to the inside and make a peek to the bottom. Picks up 2 spots there, but losing it here on the straightaway as they're still side by side through the tunnel turn. Turn 2 here, leading down the back straightaway. Conklin with a little bit of an edge over Roger Pierce, but Pierce fighting back using the high lane momentum. And one thing that's going to be tricky is Conklin going to be able to get that inside line to work, because we've seen it all week how hard it is to really compete with the top lane. As you see Roger Pierce get the momentum, a little bit of a slide out of the 10 machine of Conklin, going to open the door for Pierce. Pierce going to pull down the straightaway, but here comes Conklin back with the side draft.
This is where it's going to be critical right here. Turn 1 is going to be a bottom lane circuit. You can get a lot of speed, carry a lot of momentum down on the bottom of the racetrack here. Turn 2, you can see some drivers stick to the bottom, some run that middle groove, as we're seeing right now. Here comes Evan C., the 333 machine, coming down the Long Pond straightaway with a great run as he tries to get a bit of a toe from Sean Conklin. Roger Pierce, though, ducks down to the inside, side by side into the tunnel turn. He will send it down to the bottom and clear Sean Conklin, new race leader, out of the tunnel turn.
And Roger Pierce taking the Colby gaming machine to the front, but it had a little bit of a bobble through the tunnel turn, going to open the door for Conklin again. Really dicey moment for Pierce, and a little bit of contact down to 3. Pierce not trying to roll over and give Conklin the optimal lane. Tries to show him up the track a little bit, not going to work out, though. Conklin going to prevail at turn 3 and 1 car round.
Alex Coffey loops it around. He's able to save it. That's one of the great things about here at Pocono is there's a lot of pavement for you to save it, especially off turn 3.
I think the rough break for Coffey is that he might have gotten himself a penalty there. It's a question of if the caution came out first or not. See him working through 3 here. I'm wondering.
Right there.
Yeah, the back end just steps out from under him. Didn't catch the curbs. Just got in there, maybe a little too much wheel, a little too much throttle soon, and the traction goes, and around he goes.
Hearing from Coffey right now to try to see about pleading his case for the clearing of that black flag.
And we will keep our eyes on that as we see what happens here. Just gets in a little too deep. Gets to the throttle just a little too quick. These cold tires are really tricky. And a perfect 360. That could have been a much worse situation for him, because once that front end hooked up, odds are he was going to blow that thing through the barrels.
Kind of reminds you of what happened to Indianapolis a couple of years ago at the Speedway during the Indy 500, where one of the drivers just went straight on into that pit wall entrance and just destroyed their car here. It's been a similar situation.
No, my instant thought was, I think it was 2013 or 2014, somewhere in that ballpark. Casey Kane getting sideways out of turn 3 here and slamming the thing up against the pit wall.
Yeah, a good one too.
Coffee pretty confident about the fact that that's probably just going to be an end of longest line penalty for him.
I would hope so. I think it should be, but we'll have to wait and see what it shows for him, because normally he'll get the official ruling on his penalty with the 1 to go signal, as a couple of cars decide to come down on pit road to top off with fuel.
Yeah, I mean, it mainly depends, though, on how fast that car was when it came through the line. Because if it's just 10 miles over in that ballpark of pit road speed, he's going to be good to go. If it was, 15 or 20, that's probably going to be a serve.
Absolutely it is, and we'll see how it all plays out as everyone else is coming off in pit road and should be getting the 1 to go signal here next time by. We want to hear from the chat. Which is the most grueling pace lap? Is it here? Is it Daytona or Talladega? That's what we want to hear from the chat right now, I have to say, because I'll say Pocono is the worst.
I've got to agree. I've got to say Pocono as well. Our producer's saying Nürburgring, but I can't
yellow
tell
flags.
I can't tell you anytime I've ever seen a caution, but a caution lap at Nürburgring would actually make me cry.
That would be almost a 30 to 40 minute lap, I would think.
I can guarantee you, if there was a caution at that track, though, I still would find a way to drive it through the grass, because I cannot get around Nürb to save my life.
Well, I mean, for those of you who are wanting to know, it is the weekend of the Nürburgring 24 in the real world. So have a little fun with that if you want to this weekend.
Oh, and absolutely, I cannot. Road courses on here, it's hit or miss. I'm either really good and love it, or I am absolute dog water.
So everyone, Sheldon's favorite road racing series is the Ringmeister series, where it takes random cars and puts it on the Nürburgring. So just go out there and watch him just make a fool of himself. It's a good week, actually, with the rally cars there on the track right now.
And I am very good at making a fool of myself. I did about 15 laps at the Bend this week in GT4s. And
How was that?
Around lap 16, I finally figured out how to drive the place. Like, actually keep it in between the lines and out of the grass.
Keep it on the black stuff.
Now, replicating that, I'm still struggling with. Still struggling with that part. But I can at least make it a lap if I really try.
You come onto pit road just sweating bullets, and you're still in your sim rig.
Oh, absolutely. But one thing that's been getting me, though, this week is Lime Rock for the Advanced Miatas. That's been a lot of fun. But Lime Rock's amazing.
I think next week the ARCA cars and the trucks are at Lime Rock.
Yep, sure is. And also, I mean, the Truck Series debut at Lime Rock Park. That's going to be something worth watching over the weekend.
Yeah, the Road Pro Series did run Lime Rock in one point a couple of seasons ago, but for the first time for the NASCAR in the real world, yes, it will be the first time.
Yeah,
ARCA run there a couple of times.
What layout are they using? Are they using
the full layout?
Using chicanes or no?
I think they are using the chicanes.
No, they got to ruin it with those chicanes. Come on.
Well, you know what would be a fun track though for the trucks to go run? ARCA's done it in the past, like in the mid-2000s, but VIR.
Pikes Peak International.
Well, yes, Pikes Peak would be nice, but
we'll forget road courses for a
one.
second. If PPR doesn't find its way onto a NASCAR schedule somewhere in the next 15 years, I'm going to scream. Bring it back. Come on. ISCA still owns it, if I remember correct. But either way, the pace car making the descent down pit road here. Field falling into the hands here of Sean Conklin and Roger Pierce. To the line, green flag is out. Sean Conklin to the gas. Going to get himself a nice little advantage over his teammate as Evan Stade goes side by side with Roger Pierce down to 1.
Great action here as it's 2 by 2 by 2 as they head on down into turn number 1. Roger Pierce gets a great jump on them, and he will start to break away from the rest of the field. Joseph Kazi in a battle with the number 3 of Luke Christian as here comes the 07 machine up through the middle as he tries to find his opening. Tommy Gossett in the pink and blue machine makes a run towards the Long Pond straightaway over to the tunnel turn.
Everybody giving each other plenty of room right now. No crazy blocks, no crazy pinches. These guys
check up once car around.
Chris Vincent's around hard into the inside wall in the backstretch.
The tricky triangle strikes again with number 2 victim.
See what happens here. I can't tell. It looked like he might have gotten a little bit of help. A little bit of a checkup in front of him, I see. And I think that he might have had a little bit of contact with Heitman there. Definitely nothing intentional, just certainly a racing deal, so we get a little bit better of a view here with the Harbaugh cleaning service machine. And yeah, maybe he got tight and had to check up.
I think so too.
Because that's a very difficult corner to get through standard on your own. Like just in practice laps, it's hard. And when you got like 2-3 lanes being blocked in front of you, we know how bad the aero wash is with the next gen car.
Yeah, and I think the biggest issue that I saw was he was almost about to go 3 wide, entering off of the tunnel turn, and he tried to back out of it to not cause an issue. But unfortunately, with that checkup, no one else really checked up with him, and it just accordion effect.
A rough break for Chris Vincent, but I mean, luckily for him, 7 laps into 105 here, so hopefully we can get the fenders pulled out and we can get some green flag racing here and, you know, see what that 33 machine was capable of before the damage.
Mm-hmm. Just now 100 laps to go here in tonight's action of the OB Builders Cup Series at Pocono.
Just, you know, getting a little nervous about it, but hoping that we're not seeing an unintentional repeat of last night here on Grid Vision.
Right.
Also, what'd you think of Mexico City last week, Taylor?
I would have to say it was a nice change of pace. You know, it's good to see SVG getting back on the top step of the winner's circle, getting a win there and getting himself in the playoffs because that's what he was brought on to do. Shout out to, I got to say, some really other drivers that I was not expecting to get a good run there, like Chris Buescher, as well as Ryan Pierce as well, Priest as well, because that was
Roger
one
has
of
a
the
brother.
I'm sorry.
I said Roger has a brother
I know Roger does
in the Cup Series. That's crazy.
I know.
They look nothing alike.
They don't, no. But Ryan Priest, though, I got to say, starting on the front row at Mexico City for his first time ever being there and being just a straight-up modified driver before running in NASCAR's top 3 divisions is incredible.
I'll tell you what, everybody's been sleeping on or hating on Priest as long as he's been in any of the top 3 series, it feels like, and I've always been waiting for him to have the opportunity to show what he's got, and you know, there's a reason why he was so good in modifieds, and you know, I just like the fact that he's one of those guys. If he wrecks a car, he gets under the hood and tries to fix it.
Absolutely, and he is one of those last few drivers who does that pretty much nowadays.
But my favorite part of the weekend was all the times that we got to listen to Dale Jr. attempt to say Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez.
I mean, yeah, it's always funny. And the thing is, we still have him for another 6 weeks for commentating because we're getting ready after this weekend at Pocono go into the TNT phase of the NASCAR Cup set schedule.
And I'll tell you, the prime phase of the season was probably the best thing that I have seen.
I could watch all 36 races on Prime.
Oh, please. Please make it happen. I know it's not going to happen. I know we're locked into what we have now for
the next, 8 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good point. Jeff Bezos could buy out those contracts, and Bezos, if you're trying to win over somebody, you win me over pretty easy with that. Please, just do it.
And you know what? For those who are like saying, "Oh, you got to pay, X, Y, Z," you pay less than $20 a month for Amazon Prime compared to $50, $60, $70 a month for cable. And don't forget.
You know what else is very affordable monthly?
Do tell. What is it?
For the low price of, I forget what the low price is, but for a very, very reasonable price, you can subscribe to Grid Vision on Twitch. Help starving commentators be less starving. Help our producer be less starving.
We can't cue Celine Dion, otherwise we will get pulled and demonetized.
But you can make our dreams come true. Like, we can get a camera on Edstrom here with his little card up.
was Karen.
Can we get us from here?
Let's drag him up. We're under
Huh.
caution. Or at least under the... How about this? We'll wait till the next caution. How about that? And then we'll pull him up.
No, I'm just saying, get an eye on his car and with the little astronaut cutout. But yeah, no, we are affiliated on Twitch. We hit that milestone, and
it's thanks to you guys.
Yeah, you guys have really helped and supported the channel so much, and y'all are great.
Anywho, enough about rambling on about that. Let's go racing once again. Green flag about to come out. Sheldon.
And the green flag is indeed out. Sean Conklin with another good launch here. Him and Roger Pierce going to try and pull away from the Triple Dale machine of Evan Say. Passalacqua getting a really good launch here, though, and there's a log jam of cars nose to tail coming into turn one, led by Luke Christian and Paul Bergoli just behind your leaders.
Great run up through here. A couple of cars are going to go run up against the wall off turn number one. That was Joseph Kazi, the first one to do that. Tommy Gossett, along with the 9 of Chris Crosby, also in the hunt as well as they head down the Long Pond straightaway over towards the tunnel turn. A couple of drivers just leaning on each other as they try to make it through side by side through the tunnel turn. You don't really see that a whole lot, but it is chaos 3 wide as they come off the tunnel turn as Heitman picks up a couple of spots. As some drivers are wondering what is going on, we still got quite a bit of racing to go.
Yeah, these guys right now trying to do everything they can to maximize on position here on these restarts. So critical to get as many spots picked off as you can, because once you get settled in single file, this is a track where it turns into kind of a no man's land scenario. Nobody's really able to find anything extra on everybody else because we're so closely matched in pace here at Pocono. And then passing alone on a long run is next to impossible. It's like pulling teeth because that outside line is just so strong in defending.
It really is. It really is. We see a couple of drivers making some big runs off the outside lane. One of them being, I believe that is the 98 of Joseph Gulata, who had a really big run off turn number one, just gave a shove to the back bumper of Derek Heitman to try to move him forward. Side by side, once again, a little further back. That's Justin Levine getting around Corey Moore for the 16th spot. Clears him, moves on to the next driver, which is Chad Kibbe in the 45 as they go side by side a little further up of Joseph Kazi, Derek Heitman, and there you see the driver of Tommy Gossett in the hunt as well, and Joseph Gulata, who clears both of them, and Heitman now moves up a spot.
Yeah, Joseph Gulata, the guy who looked like he had NIS absolutely locked up with a bow on it last night until we got a couple late race restarts, threw him from the top of the stand, and right in front of him, the guy that ended up sneaking away with that win, Derek Heitman in the 76 machine. These are two guys that you really want to keep your eyes on because they have a lot of pace, and they've shown how strong they can be here at Pocono this week, and they are working their way through the field pretty quick here as we start to log some laps.
Absolutely, side by side for position a little bit further behind between Edstrom and Kazi. Edstrom clears and moves up a spot, getting around Joseph Kazi as Edstrom looked like he nearly struck the wall a little bit, but will keep on going as they head off into turn 3.
Down at turn 3, Edstrom still opting to run up against the fence through the Milwaukee corner. If you look a little bit further up, Evan Say a little bit of contact with the wall. It looks like Luke Christian, one car around on the front straightaway. It's the 07 machine of Tommy Gossett.
What happened there to Tommy Gossett?
I think he may have just got the curbing. He's close to it. No, does not get the curb. Comes out of the corner.
Right there.
Straight, just trying to avoid the 3 machine. Luke Christian, who I just called for tagging the wall. And Tommy going to be the sacrificial lamb in this scenario.
Right here you see the 3 machine of Christian just tap the wall there, and Gossett just try to make quick work. How about Heitman nearly making contact with Tommy Gossett there as well? That could have been a major incident.
Tell you what, Tommy did everything he needed to, though. Once that car broke traction, he got it angled. He just kept the brakes locked up, kept it from rolling back up into traffic, because that could have been a lot nastier than what it ended up being.
It really could have.
But unfortunately, we are 14 laps in, and it seems like we just can't get away from the pace car.
Fred's going to look like to be trying to go for leading the most laps here tonight.
He's got a good start here. I just hope he's got enough fuel to make it.
I mean, with how many times he's coming down pit road, though, I think he'll be fine. Well, I mean, we've talked about Nürburgring, we talked about Amazon, we talked about the Bend a little bit. How about we talk a little bit about the Gen 4 car?
The best thing. Look, I know everybody's been hyping it up like crazy. It is the best thing iRacing has added as long as I've been here. Like I can't even think of anything that remotely compares to how perfect a release that is.
It is. It really
Like
is. I got to run my first. It was on a super speedway for the super speedway draft masters race with the Gen 4 cars at Talladega, but that car was a ton of fun to drive.
like with the limitations that iRacing has, like the box with licensing and everything. I don't think they could have done anything more. Like there's nothing else they could have done to make that any better. Like everybody's like, oh, we need a Dodge, we need a Pontiac. Man, give them some time. Remember the 87s when the 87s dropped, we got a Chevy and a Ford because those are the two that were around here in that time frame that had active licenses in the sport that are still around today.
I mean, if you think about it, Dodge just did drop their new Ram truck on for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. So who's not to say we will see that? Maybe not till probably mid 26. Who knows? Maybe we'll see.
Well, I tell you, a Dodge is going to be an easy one for them to scan. There's still, I know Chip Ganassi still has a few of their Dodges, wherever those cars ended up going, but I'm sure Chip probably has them. Probably wouldn't be too hard to talk to Chip about getting them scanned. He's had cars scanned on here before.
Scan the old silver bullet.
If they can't find a super speedway, well, guess what? Ward Burton's 2002 500 winner is still in museums somewhere. I can't remember which one. I think Bill might have it. I don't think that'd be a hard one to pull. Especially for Junior. I mean, he's had all these guys on his podcast. So,
well, not only that, but he's been the one who's kind of helped push to get the Gen 4 car on iRacing as well as the Gen 3. Now we just need Gen
Pontiac's,
2, Gen 1.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But now Pontiac, that's going to be where we're going to have issues. Because for the 2003 season, there was 2 Pontiac teams in Cup. It was PPI Cal Wells' team, as well as MB2, and all those cars they got reskinned because budget teams all got reskinned and Chevy banners stuffed on them the next season with new clips. So that's probably gonna be hard to find. I think Craven's car is still in existence, the 03 Darlington one, but as beat up as that chassis is, I don't know if that one's really gonna be salvageable to scan.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, it would be fun to have that one, but
I'd be ripping the Pontiac every week, man. That was the coolest looking car, and I was so disappointed when they didn't come back in 04.
Yeah, it was a big disappointment indeed.
Just like the 2013 Charger that they announced for the Gen 6. Best looking Gen 6 car. Never got to race.
Down. Nope, never got to race it.
Honestly, probably for the better, though, because looking at the nose on that thing, I can see about 20 or 30 places just to my untrained eye where we'd have issues with lift as opposed to downforce.
I have to agree with you on that. So we'll have to see what the next gen Dodge will be or the Gen 7 Dodge will be when it makes its return to the NASCAR Cup Series.
I'm thinking they go with the new Charger.
I would think so.
Like,
and then who knows? Bring back the Challenger for the Xfinity Series, maybe. Who knows? That was, I have to say, the best looking Xfinity car.
Oh yeah, and they got more shelf life out of that Xfinity car than they ever thought they would too. With
they did
with Mike Harmon and those guys running the Ghost Chargers or Challengers for years. Sorry, the Zombie Dodge. That's what the term for those were.
Yeah, the Zombie Dodge was the correct term. Well, here we go. About to go racing here. 16 laps coming to 17 laps on the board. Next time by Sheldon. And let's see if we can go a little bit longer. Hopefully no one can makes too many mistakes here. We can get ourselves maybe a bit of a fuel run set up for these drivers.
Yeah, no, these guys all probably chomping at the bit to get a long run in because I feel like a long run has just been impossible all week long. Based on everything I've seen in A-Opens I've ran, what we saw last night in NIS, I mean, it's just going to come down to these guys giving each other the room they need, and nobody really making mistakes. We see how snappy these things are on the edge. But we're about to get another stab at it here as we re-rack them. Pace car making the descent onto pit road, and the green flag is out. Sean Conklin in control of the field here again. And another great start for the 10 machine here as he comes up, covers the top to try and pull the 27 of Roger Pierce along with him. Evan Say kind of hung out to dry coming into turn 1.
Evan Say making the run here as they work their way through side by side as they come off a turn. Yeah, big time slide job coming right there. But as they come off of turn number 1, everyone makes it through. One car hits the wall. That was the 42 machine of Corey Moore. He's able to keep it going. No problem as they'll race their way down the long pond straightaway into the tunnel turn. Joseph Kazi sends it down to the bottom of the 9 of Crosby.
Kazi trying to work the inside line, try to find the momentum to get past the 9 machine here as we go into turn 3. And you see how big the draft is, how much that outside line momentum pulls the car on the top. But Kazi going to send it deep down into turn 3, and looks like he's going to be able to clear the 9 machine coming to the front straightaway. But here comes the 9, trying to take a look to the inside, has to check up, out, loses it in front of the field. Now the 20 machine across Coffee is around, and a few others.
Oh my goodness, more. The 4 machine.
That's a huge crash. DeCiani's caught in as well. John Bender. So I'll get a replay here. This is these are the cars a little bit further in the back.
Oh,
Bender just
a little spicy in the chat right now.
We've already got fireworks in the driver chat right now.
We do. It's getting interesting, but yeah, these guys need to settle it down. We got quite a bit of racing.
There we go, and that's just a lot of overcorrection here and a huge checkup, and it's just what happened here.
Sounds like a couple of drivers are also requesting race officials to shorten the cautions as well.
As you see the 9 machine take the dive down pit road here.
So we welcome you back to another Grid Vision podcast as we continue on under caution here as we ride on board with Crosby.
Crosby just caught the fence there. Car bounced off the wall, and he's perfectly fine, but
not a scratch.
Everybody else dies.
And don't worry, for the drivers that are listening to the stream, we have not found we have found more things to talk about. We have never run out. We will find something.
Also, at this pace right now, Tommy pointing out that if things continue the way they are, we're only going to get 96 laps in this race. So, could very well become a race to the weather, if you will.
Ooh, could we get some rain? Get a big cloud of rain coming around?
Well, if you squint very hard and start squirting yourself in the face with a Windex bottle, you can replicate that at home. I don't advise it, though. I do not advise doing that.
Yeah, please
Whatever
don't.
you do, full of water. I meant to mention that part.
How about you just go jump in a heart-shaped jacuzzi? That's
no,
what we prefer.
You tried to hit me with that last week, and it's just not happening, Taylor.
I mean, that is what Pocono is famous for, besides the track.
Look, my man, like, I think of the mountains, I think of the deer, the wonderful wildlife in the area, all the little marshlands and everything. I don't think about heart-shaped jacuzzis. I think Pocono, the first thing I think of is Dale Earnhardt climbing out of a flipped-over car in turn 2. Then I think of, like, all the waterways and everything out there.
All the trees.
All the trees. Look. And Darby thinks of Bubba exploding in turn 1 in 2018.
Elliott Sadler nearly dying.
Oh, God.
The unfound footage.
Steve Park coming back mid-season from an injury.
Yep.
getting in the car and Mendel Jr. flipping through the infield.
What was it? Bobby Allison back in the 80s.
Oh yeah, that was a career ender.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a this is a track that is definitely has a fairly tragic history, but
there's a reason why IndyCar does not race here anymore. Let's just say that.
No.
2 reasons.
Last one was Wickens, wasn't it?
Huh?
Last one was Wickens, wasn't it? I know he was the last one to get hurt here.
Yeah, he was the last one to get hurt.
So such a sad situation.
But he made it work out for him though.
Oh yeah. Well, Wickens still is an incredible talent. You give that man an opportunity, he's going to find a way to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like race officials have decided to go with a single file restart, possibly. Nope, no official thing has happened. They are still going to go double file, but race officials did mention to try to go single file either this time or the next caution period that we may have.
And also, huge hats off to everybody in the tire here for this race too, because this is a situation that it could turn pretty toxic, turn pretty crappy really quick. You know, thinking on their feet, they know that based on the trend right now, things are not going to work if we don't save these drivers from themselves. And they're doing a good job, you know, look, I've been in leagues where we've had situations like this, and you just have race control screaming at drivers. And
yep,
OB Butterscup, man, they are a class act through and through, all the way through the field, all the way up to the top of the, pylon. And they're trying to figure out how to make the best of it.
I always, when I used to be a part of league organizations and everything like that, I always asked the drivers, do you want to really race at Pocono? And about 90% of the group would say no because of this very reason.
And it's so rough, too, because this is such a fun track.
It really is.
It's so unique.
It's a fun track, and, who knows how, as we progress further, if things can change. I have to say, it is the toughest oval that every driver struggles with. The
longevity of this track's cycle on the circuit, too. Like, I loosely treat this place as a crown jewel when you come here, even if it's not the best racing we see. But pace car diving off of pit road again here. Sean Conklin to the gas quick. Going to try and point advantage over the 27 machine of Roger Pierce here. Yet again, going to work out for him as he comes over, takes the top lane. They're side by side for second on back. Let's see how it works through turn 1.
2 by 2. A couple of drivers thinking about going 3 wide. They better think a little bit better of it. We still haven't run a full green flag lap here as these drivers try to work their way out through. Tommy Gossett thinks about going through the middle, but then you see the 28 car of Tim Wortman as well as Chris Hudson shut the door on him as Levine and Kazi battle for position just up ahead. They're 2 by 2 as they head through the tunnel turn. Everyone, let's try to make it through here, and we do so. Big run from Derek Heitman in the 76 as he tries to chase down the 3 of Luke Christians.
Right now, Pasalacqua trying to work the outside line to get past the 12 machine of Paul Bergoli. Bergoli going to send all the way down to the bottom, almost to the curbing through turn 3. Pasalacqua trying to get to the quarter pound. Knows if he can get that side drive, it's going to work, but not able to do it. The door's going to get shut in his face here as Paul Bergoli takes over the 5th spot.
Beautiful job right there by Bergoli to get that spot as they work their way through. Nose to tail. A couple of drivers. Here comes Derek Heitman and Gulata. And now you see a couple of drivers. The 26 of Paul Hill running right up against wall. Slaps it a little bit. Saves it. Holds on to it.
And able to keep the thing in one piece coming off of turn 1. Everybody opting to check up here to make sure that he's able to get himself pointed back in the right direction. As far as momentum goes, Luke Christian in line behind him as Christian tries to make something happen on the outside of Heitman, but Heitman not giving an inch, using that bottom lane to his advantage through the tunnel turn, and Derek Heitman, last night's winner, moving up to P7. Sorry, P8.
Yeah, good run through here as they work their way through the middle of the turn 3. Everyone tries to mind the P's and Q's as best that they can, and as they do so, lined up nose to tail, and so far it's going to work out as they get around the 6 of Brandon and make the run over to turn 1.
Joseph Gulata slowly sneaking his way into the picture here as you see him get to the back bumper. The 12 machine of Paul Bergoli into turn 1. Up here sitting in the 5th spot. Pasalacqua, though, giving everything he's got to try and keep these guys honest. Really putting together a good run here this afternoon.
Really good run indeed as they now get themselves in a bit of a rhythm here, get themselves going as Tommy Gossett and Joseph Kazi battle for the 11th spot, and they get a little too close for comfort. And so far, it's going to be a good fight here as they head down towards turn number 3. Kazi powers back through with help from Wortman, but Tommy Gossett sends it in deep. Can he make it stick? The answer is going to be yes as Levine looks on.
Side by side here right now. Derek Heitman trying to make something happen against the 26 machine of Paul Hill. Paul Hill working the outside line, using the momentum to pull himself even with the 76 of Heitman into turn 1. But Heitman going to send it way deep into the corner here to try and clear, and it looks like he's going to, as the 26 kind of has a little bit of an issue with the bump in the center of turn 1. Derek Heitman now moved up to 7th spot here.
Watching on here as the drivers get their way through. Got a little battle here for P4 as we watch the driver of Bergoli, Gulata, and Pascaluca battling for position. A big run through as here comes a send of Tommy Gossett. He gets around Justin Levine and tries to get around Luke Christian for a 2-for-1 special.
And Tommy on a bit of a recovery drive here. Got spun around early in this thing, trying to avoid a wreck. Sitting right now at the tail end of the top 10. He's down to the inside of the 19 machine of Justin here. Down the front stretch, not able to make anything work of it, though. Justin using the draft from the 3 of Luke Christian to keep him tucked in and keep that 07 machine looking for a way in. Gossett diving to the bottom here in a 1, trying to make it stick. Not going to do it. Going to tag the fence coming down the long pond straightaway. Going to hurt the momentum a little bit here. Now Levine diving to the inside of the 3 of Christian.
Big run right here as they go side by side, and Levine sends it in through the tunnel turn. Beautiful pass right there as he clears them and now tries to see if he can get a little bit of a run to pull away, but Luke Christian's going to stay tucked up behind him with help from Tommy Gossett as Paul Hill sets his sights on Derek Heitman as they go 3 wide into turn 3.
Yeah, Paul Hill over the back bumper of the 76 machine right now, but Heitman just a little too fast for him to contend with right now. Heitman getting a really good launch out of Milwaukee down the front straightaway. Going to open that gap a couple of car lengths coming into turn 1.
Still 3 wide as we ride on board with Derek Heitman in the 76 machine, currently P7. As we watch that battle a little further up ahead of them of Gossett, Christian, and company, along with the battle right there as they go single file into the tunnel turn.
Meanwhile, up at the front of the pack, everybody's single filing out. Right now, the man that's really enjoying this is Sean Conklin, stretching that advantage over Roger Pierce now to 0.4 of a second. You see Pierce going all the way up against the wall, using the Larson line through turn 3 here to try and find an advantage over the 10 machine, but it's not really working in his favor too much, as you see Conklin just ever so slightly slipping away.
Meanwhile, back up at the front of the field, Evan C. right there in the 3rd position in the 333, trying to get himself rolling to see if he can make a charge up towards the top 2 of Pierce and Sean Conklin. And he's staying in the hunt, just not able to close the gap. He's actually running almost identical to what Sean Conklin did last time by, but just a 10th off the pace, though, as far as overall fastest lap time here. So we'll see what he can do as Bergoli leads the charge in 4th.
And this is right here. This is the part of the run where everybody struggles so much. Everybody's so equal in pace here in the OB Motors Cup Series. And it's so hard to really find anything that makes you a little bit better than the other guy. Because, I mean, just by default, we're all pretty much at the limit of speed and out of control. You can't really tiptoe too much further over it. So it's just really hard to find something that makes you unique, makes you a little bit better. But I mean, best believe these guys are going to be trying every lap to find what it is they're missing. As you see now, the 98 machine of Joseph Gulata trying to take a look to the inside of Paul Bergoli here through turn 1. Paul Bergoli going to use the outside line to pull him down the long pond straightaway and stretch that advantage out a little bit, trying to keep the 98 machine at bay.
Watching on here as Bergoli starts to pull away. How about this 3 wide heading into the tunnel turn? Gossett, Christian, and Kazi. Can they make it through?
Oh,
close
Christian gets
call. Kazi around and collects Edstrom.
And Kazi, a hard hit against the inside wall on the back straightaway.
replay right here, and it's just a bad situation here. A little bit of contact, 3 wide right there.
Yeah, right there. Causey just got loose coming out of turn 2. I mean, argument can be made that the aero position that he was in, very compromising. We know how difficult it is when you get a car to your outside here in these next-gen cars, and I'm not sure what the proximity is here on iRacing, but just being down there on the bottom with that much wheel stuffed in the car to try and keep it holding your line and pinch off the corner at the same time with somebody at your top, it's definitely going to, traction's definitely going to break on you. But either way, as we are 30 laps in to the OB Builders Cup Series here, we are going to send it to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back to cover you, back to show you more of the racing action here on the grid.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And 31 laps down here for the OB Builders Cup Series, live from virtual Pocono Raceway. I'm Sean Atkins, joined by Taylor Burris and Austin Derbyshire in the booth. Been a bit of a caution fest here, but we got a little bit of a breath of fresh air there as we got a handful of laps green. What do you think, Taylor? You think these guys have kind of settled out, gotten the feel for what these machines have they're capable of? Like,
I think they have for the most part. It's just a matter of, like, I think just being a little smarter. Should I send that 3 wide into the tunnel turn, for example? Should I go, be on top of someone like that coming off turn 3 if they hit the wall? It's just a matter of just, I think, being a little patient here. We're only 32 out of 105. We still got a lot of racing left to go. Settle in, run your laps, start saving a little fuel if you want to, but let's run some laps. Let's at least get to lap 100, and then we'll turn on the afterburners and let all the chaos flow.
I'll say one thing. One guy that's in a precarious position right now, Roger Pierce, came in pit road second, missed the pit box, and you know how dire that is with these stupid sequential gears that we have in the next gen car. You have to take a minute to get all the way back to reverse, and that costs him a ton of track position, now sitting in ninth.
So now we'll see how this all plays out. Currently, we've been running a little over 30 minutes of racing. So see if we can stretch it out and get ourselves a good run here. But for now, everyone has made their first run of a pit stop as far as your front runners. See what Sean Conklin can do a little further back in sixth position. Will he be patient, or will he go ahead and make his run to the front?
Well, find out here, but the pace car takes a dive off. Derek Heitman going to try and launch it here from the outside line. Gets a great jump through the gears here. Going to pull him a nice advantage over second place. Also a bit of a mixed bag up here at the front. Some guys opting to take tires, some guys not. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out with this new tire model, but down into turn one, side by side for second place. Ryan Johnson going to take over the spot from the 9 machine of Chris Crosby, but here comes Matt DiCiani with an even deeper dive through one. Going to pick off third position down the back straightaway.
Great battling here as they go side by side as Bergoli jots up to the top of the racetrack in front of Roger Pierce, and he will make his one, work his way through, and so far Crosby stays to the top as they come off the tunnel turn.
Everybody making it through the tunnel turn here for the first rotation. Good feeling here as you see Joseph Gulata take a dive down to the inside of his teammate in the 333 machine of Evan Say. Going to try and knock off the 6th spot here as we come down the front straightaway with the 333 machine. Going to get the run off the top and use the draft to his advantage to hold onto the spot for now as he tucks up behind the 10 machine of Sean Conklin.
Good fight here through the middle of the track, and as they do so, a couple of cars will dive it down to the bottom, and so far so good as Crosby and Pierce will battle for position as they come off of turn number 1 and head down the Long Pond straightaway, and it's going to be a good one to watch amongst these drivers.
Down to turn 2 now. DiCiani side by side with the 4 machine of Johnson. DiCiani going to send it in deep, try to take the spot. Going to run out of room, not enough to go around. Johnson going to lift to avoid causing absolute chaos, and now that opens the door for Sean Conklin as he gets a huge run to the inside of these two, and he's going to send it down to the bottom into Milwaukee to try and complete the pass on the 5 machine, and he's going to take it with a huge slide job here down the front stretch.
Here they come down the front straightaway here. Single file as Conklin tries to make his run. He's up to second. He's got a big toe. He tries to hunt down your race leader of Derek Heitman as they head down into turn 1. As a couple of drivers now try to see what they can do, if they can ante up to the battle here. And so far, here comes Evan C. and Gulata running the top side.
Down the back straightaway, everybody's single file. Nobody really finding much advantage here. First car making a pass now, though. Here comes Roger Pierce to the inside of Johnson into 3. Gets a good launch. Into 2. Gets a good launch out of 1. Is it going to be able to clear? A little bit of side draft from the 4 machine, but it's not enough. Roger Pierce going to take over the spot, move him back up to 6th as he tries to continue his march back to the front of the pack.
Big run through here as they come side by side, and a big run out of Tommy Gossett to pick up a spot.
Yeah, Tommy giving it his all here to recover from the earlier slide. Currently up to the 11th position, which is pretty great when you know you're backwards down the back straightaway a handful of laps into this thing and sending yourself all the way to the back. So good recovery out of Tommy so far, as he is all over the back bumper of the 10th place machine of Paul Hill.
Keeping an eye here on the battles further back to see what happens amongst them as Pascalucas trying to pick up a couple of spots, but he is mired back in the Hornets' nets from 12th position as Paul Hill and Tommy Gossett do battle for 10th. And Tommy Gossett picks up another spot, getting around Levine here in the 9th spot.
Not quite. Still behind that. Yeah, he's still behind Levine here, the Mac Tools machine. Put together a pretty good run right now in the 9th spot. Tommy Gossett going to send all the way down to the bottom of the track here into 1 to try and pick up some kind of a scrap from Justin Levine. Really good corner for Tommy, too. He's going to pick up a lot of time, get glued up to the back bumper of Justin Levine in the 19 Camry. Down into turn 2, not able to find the advantage he needs. So the dirty air, it's so critical, especially when you come into turn 2, where it's such a fast corner. You don't really have an opportunity to recover, or really send it as hard as you'd like to when you're tucked up behind somebody like that. You see him try to use that inside line close to the curbs, try and get the launch down the front straightaway. Right now, it looks like Tommy's in a bit of a stalemate.
A little bit of a stalemate right there as we watch Justin Levine and him do battle for position. Gossett on the bottom, Levine on the top. Can't quite make it work as they come off of turn number 1. He gets a good run, though. He's going to get right on the back bumper. Can he try to see about thinking about setting up a pass in the tunnel turn? We're about to find out heading down into the corner, and so far he will do so. Roger Pierce and Gulata battling for position as well.
And Roger Pierce trying to get himself back up in that top 3. Lost a handful of spots on pit road. And this is what we're seeing. You know, we saw this car up at the front of the pack, making big moves, sitting in second place for a majority of the opening laps here. Once you get mired in traffic, it's a different story. It's so difficult to get by these guys. And we're also seeing bits of that too, as Sean Conklin's still just stuck at that 3/10 mark behind Derek Heitman for second. Look at Chris Crosby here. Nice little tidy pack, single file cars right now. Now I'm wondering though, Taylor, at what point do we start kicking that clutch in and start saving fuel?
You should have been doing that as soon as you started pacing, honestly.
Well, I mean, here on this run, I'm not seeing anybody really going crazy on the fuel saving right now.
I'm not either, and I think it's due to the fact of how many cautions we've had so far. If it was a little bit longer of a run, they probably would have happened sooner, but I think probably in the next 5 to 10 laps, we may see some drivers starting to do that.
So right on board with Johnson here and get a good look at the brand new digital dash that iRacing added here for us, a new refresh, and honestly looks pretty good. I like it a little bit more than the old one. Looks a little more professional.
Certainly does. Part of the new updates are included for the next gen car, as they got the new tire model and a complete new revamp of the design.
And they also, for some reason, took away our ability to turn off the engine, and I will forever be angry about that.
Yeah, I noticed that a little bit.
Is that you know, that was my favorite fuel saving strat. Just shut her off going into turn into the corner and let her eat coming out.
I have to agree.
But I imagine somebody somewhere in the infinite wisdom of iRacing, somebody somewhere probably found an exploit that made the car faster by utilizing that. And
yeah.
you know, just like they did with the clutch on the dirt cars and the ignition switch. You remember that?
Yep.
I remember when they pulled the ignition switch out of the dirt cars because people were using it as traction control.
Ignition switch on the Gen 4 is a little finicky too, I have to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Gen 4 is such a wonderful car to drive. That's what I'm doing as soon as I'm done up here in the booth. I don't know about you, Taylor.
I'm going to bed. There's the thing. I gotta work tomorrow morning, unfortunately.
I just gotta go get my ears lowered tomorrow. That's about it. Also, Conklin trying every line he possibly can right now to pull some kind of an advantage over the 76 machine. We just saw him all the way up against the fence through one, higher than we've seen anybody all day that wasn't hitting the fence. An opportunity to go a little bit higher here into 3. And you just gotta wonder, though, as aggressive as Sean is being right now, trying to get back to the rear bumper of the 76 machine, if he isn't overstepping the limits of these tires a little bit.
That is a question and concern I've had a little bit as myself, just watching how he's doing it. And he's kind of just that middle ground right now of just trying to chase down your race leader to get back up to him, but also he could be burning a lot of his equipment off pretty quickly here as he makes the run down to the tunnel turn. He's staying about 3/10 of a second behind your race leader as they head into turn 3.
Yeah, I feel like there's got to be a plateau point somewhere here. And the more laps that he's running in that dirty air of the 76 machine, I just feel like he's getting closer and closer to it. But he's putting together good lap times, starting to reel him in ever so slightly, but still just stuck at that 3/10 window. As we look at the lap times here, and these two are just about equal. 53.689 for Derek Heitman, your race leader, and a 6.67 for Sean Conklin. You kind of can't help but to think that maybe a little bit of that extra pace in the 10 machine right now could be coming from the draft, because we know how powerful it is here at Pocono.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a big help for him as well, as he will rocket to the top side of the racetrack, that third or fourth lane right now. Gets a good run, tries to pull a little momentum as we watch Evan C. and Matt DiCiani battle for the third spot.
And that was a really good turn 3 for Derek Heitman. Really opened that gap up, got a good launch all the way through the corner. Heitman's just doing such a great job right now, utilizing every inch of the racetrack that he can to make these big runs down the straightaway.
He's going to try to get a good run through here as we ride on board with Derek Heitman. As Sean Conklin's trying to close up in the Victory 1 Gossett Machinery.
I'll tell you what, if you're Heitman, you got to be grinning from ear to ear right now. You know, after the difficulties he's had this season and Open and some of the leagues he's been in, just always feels like he's, you know, the butt of the joke. Just, you know, some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail, and it seems like Heitman's typically the nail in most situations. Comes out last night, snakes away the win in NIS. Here we are, 45 laps into the OB Builders Cup, starting to taper in a long run, and you look in your mirror and you see Sean Conklin giving everything that he's got, throwing everything but the kitchen sink to the back of that car to try and get to you. And none of it's sticking. As you see right now, the 10 machine of Conklin wicked loose coming out of turn 1, had a big slide in 3-2. So you know Sean's giving it his all.
He really is, and he's putting on a stellar drive as they work their way through the tunnel turn. Conklin sends it in. Can he make up some time there on Derek Heitman?
Oh, he is. Heitman misses too.
He did. He missed a little bit. That's going to cause a lot of issues for him as he sets himself up for the run. Heading into turn 3, he gets around the outside, side by side, battle for the race lead as Conklin tries to make a big run out of the corner.
But not able to utilize anything there, as Heitman does an incredible job of rolling the bottom lane into 3. I mean, that car is the best car that we've seen all day using that inside line. And that's going to be a really difficult part for Conklin, because it seems like, you know, he may be a little bit better in turn 2. But it feels like Heitman is just slightly better in 1, as we see Conklin get another big wiggle coming out of 1. And it feels like Heitman's just the best right now on the speedway of getting through 3, which arguably 3 is the most important corner on this track.
It certainly is, as they work their way off turn 2, and Heitman is just being very smooth, not pushing the envelope as much.
As we work into 3 here, Conklin going to try to go to the bottom this time. We'll see what happens. And once again, Heitman going to stretch that gap ever so slightly again. I'll tell you what, I'm impressed with everything I've seen out of Derek this week.
I am too. Really good run for him right now as he is holding strong as we are approaching the halfway point.
It appears that something may have happened to Paul Hill as he takes a quick flight out of the speedway. I do know that I heard somebody apologizing to somebody over the radio about a half a lap ago. As we look now, Austin Edstrom taking a dive down here as we get the replay on what happened to Paul Hill here. Takes a duck down to the inside into 3. I guess something must have just came up behind the scenes, and Paul Hill opted to go home for the night. So no biggie there.
No biggie indeed.
Conklin's digging deep right now, though, and it looks like he's coming up with something. As you see him close the gap to Derek Heitman through turn 1. It's the closest he's gotten to him in 1 and a handful of laps. See if it transfers down to 2. We know that this has been the weak link for Derek Heitman. It's just getting through the tricky tunnel turn. It's a pretty good corner exit there. Gives up a little bit on entry, but good exit down the back straightaway. Let's see if he's able to keep that magic alive into 3, but it looks like Conklin's really starting to put the pressure to the back of the Bridgestone machine.
He is putting a lot of... Ooh, here we go. Pit stop's happening.
Yeah. Now Heitman going to dive down pit road here to get potentially 4 tires, but definitely fuel. I don't think they're going to have Bridgestones in pit road here, so I don't know what he's going to settle for.
But for that now, that gives Sean Conklin a 1.7 second advantage, so a good opportunity for him to save some fuel as Gulata and C battle for second. DeCiani and Pierce side by side for fourth.
DeCiani going to work the inside line here to try and make something happen through the tunnel turn, but Roger Pierce using the outside line momentum, going to pull himself a nice load advantage down the back straightaway here. And that's going to open the door for Tommy Gossett to get to the back bumper of the 5 machine of DeCiani. DeCiani taking all the way down to the yellow through 3, going to put him side by side again with Roger Pierce. It's not going to be enough.
No, it is not, and Roger Pierce now will pull ahead to the 4th spot as DeCiani and Tommy Gossett try to work together to chase down Roger Pierce.
Down to turn 1, looking out the back window of the 27 machine. Now here comes DeCiani, trying to make it happen. DeCiani getting really good runs through turn 1. It's just trying to connect it on the rest of the track isn't always the easiest here at Pocono.
It really is not. It's a lot of issues here as we watch this battle amongst these 3 drivers. There you see DeCiani, and it looked like we see Evan C and Gulata about to go back at it once again. C trying to run the top side, see if he can get a good run.
I'll tell you what, we talk about the rhythm of the tracks every week. Every track has its own kind of feel. You get used to it. You get to a point where you can kind of dissociate behind the wheel and not think about it too much, let muscle memory kick in, and you're still on it, setting great lap times. Pocono, this ain't one of those tracks because you've got to have 3 entirely different approaches to every corner.
You really do, and as we watch these drivers here, you see how they manage heading into the tunnel turn right now. You want to try to run the bottom as best you can because running that top, that car we've seen gets pretty loose off corner exit. So trying to hug that yellow line as best you can.
It's also just such a narrow line here too, especially the tunnel turn. The biggest example of that, you can kind of make a lot of things work through 1. You can make anything work through 3. As long as you don't get to the throttle too quick. But turn 2, there's one way to do that, and it is a razor's edge between gaining time and losing a lot of time.
Absolutely. So we'll see how this all plays out amongst them as they go side by side. Tommy Gossett, Roger Pierce, Evan C, DeCiani all jockeying around for position.
Gossett down to the inside of the 5 machine as we go down the long pond straightaway, but nowhere for Tommy to go with that run because he's got Roger Pierce in front of him. Gonna try and make something happen, but not going to be easy here. It's going to hope that DeCiani makes a mistake coming into the tunnel turn. DeCiani tapers off a little bit, gives Tommy Gossett the room that he needs to breathe. A little bit of give and take. Great move from DeCiani there to make sure everybody makes it through and makes it out of this thing alive. Now Tommy Gossett gets to the outside of Roger Pierce, and now a little bit of 3 wide through turn 3. Almost anyway, and Roger Pierce gets tight on the bottom. A little bit of contact between him and Tommy Gossett, and Roger Pierce goes around into the pit road.
Oh!
And a huge hit into the barrels. And that's going to be a day ender for Roger Pierce because the right front suspension completely ripped out of the 27 Colby Gaming Camry. So look at it here. He just gets tight. A little bit of a wiggle there. Tries not to get into the door of his teammate. Ends up taking himself out in the process. That is just a heartbreaking way for this thing to end for Roger Pierce.
Very much so. Roger Pierce is pulling over. He is destroyed.
That right there, that's what I was talking about a little bit ago. That tightrope walk that you have here with the lines at Pocono. You got to hit every corner at 100%. Right there, Roger went 101%.
He certainly did. As we now approach the halfway break.
Yep, just crossed the halfway point. Caution is out. Sean Conklin, your race leader. Handful of guys kind of got messed up a little bit on the strategy there. But these guys creeping around Pocono here at half the speed of smell. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back to bring you more of the racing action live here on the grid.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back as we are here for the action once again for the OB Builders Cup Series from Pocono. As the drivers are under caution once again after some situations that happened to a couple of drivers. We're now going to see how this all plays out. It is currently Derek Heitman, your race leader, followed by Sean Conklin, Tommy Gossett, Evan C., and Joseph Gulati, your top five. As the lights are out on the pace car, that means we're going to go back at it once again here at Pocono. So far been in some good racing. We had one of the longest green flag runs here of today's action so far, so we'll get ourselves situated. But we're happy to have you with us here on Grid Vision's coverage. And don't forget, we got more exciting racing to come starting off next week as we leave the Tricky Triangle. Getting ready to go back onto some road course racing with Chicago next week. So make sure to tune in on Grid Vision on Wednesday and Thursday. The OB Builders Cup Series and the NASCAR iRacing Series here on Twitch and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to all of this to catch the latest action in Grid Vision's coverage. As the field works their way over the Long Pond straightaway, heading into the tunnel turn, a couple of drivers who have been working their way through. But yes, Atlanta is next week. And looking through the field right now to see who some of our biggest movers are. Of course, Derek Heitman from 18th to 1st. Tommy Gossett and Evan C. from 19th and 17th have moved into the top 5. Big round for Chris David from 29th to 18th. Same thing with Shane Clore, 30th to 19th. As a couple of drivers who are out of the contention. Josh Schaffner did not start. Randy Mullins, Alex Coffey, John Binder, Paul Hill, some of the drivers who are out of today's action. They come out of turn number 3. Green flag is about to go back in the air. 56 laps are on the board. Coming to lap 57. Green flag is back out, and we're racing once again here in the Pocono Mountains as they make the run down to turn number 1. Side by side, second on back as they work their way through Evan C., Tommy Gossett trying to find their way around Sean Conklin, and they do so, but Conklin fights his way down to the bottom of the racetrack as they work their way through turn 1, 3 wide almost, as Conklin slide jobs his way out in front of Tommy Gossett. Heading down the Long Pond straightaway, heading to Tunnel Turn as they work their way through. It's 2 by 2 by 2 as they work their way through. Can we make it clean? Gossett shuts the door on Gulata as they work their way through the field. And as they come out of the Tunnel Turn, everyone makes it clean for the most part. A couple of drivers jockey and jumble their way through as they now spread them out 3 and 4 wide through turn 3. Coming up through out of turn number 3, it's going to be side-by-side action, and so far, the number 5 of Matt DiCiani does everything he can to hold his position. Meanwhile, that battle for third works their way around the circuit, and here comes Tommy Gossett out around the outside, but it is not going to work as Evan C. powers his way through. Edstrom finds his way also around Justin Levine as Brandon Pascaluca, Chris Vincent, and Luke Christians all jockey for position. Little issue right there for Paul Gallimore as he was able to get loose off turn 1, saves it, and is able to continue on. He saves and continues on just around the 24th position as they work their way into turn number 3, side by side between Joseph Kazi and Chris Vincent in the 33 machine. And as they do so, DiCiani trying to hold off the hard charge of Evan C. and company as they come out of turn number 3, side by side, and Joseph Gulata pushing Tommy Gossett around DiCiani for the position. Watching on as the field works their way through on and 59 on the board. And here comes the field of drivers, single file for the most part now, can have a good time to bide their opportunities, start saving a little bit of fuel on these competitors as they head down. Joseph Kazi looks like he'll send it down to the inside. Actually, that's Austin Edstrom in the 87 machine. A great run from him with help from Justin Levine behind. Austin Edstrom running up around the top side of the racetrack. He's trying to hold on to position here as they come out of turn number 3, coming to 45 laps to go here at Pocono. And here comes Sean Conklin. Him and Derek Heitman, they've checked out on the competition by a half a second over Evan C. And they're going to try to see if they can continue to stretch out that run as they work their way through the middle of the corner and out of turn number 1 down the Long Pond straightaway. It is going to work out for them for the moment. They picked up another 10th as another car gets loose off turn number 1. That's Shane Clore in the 72. Saves the car, drops back, and tries to find an opening to get back in line in his purple Ford Mustang. Tommy Gossett, Matt DiCiani, Joseph Gulata, all jockeying around for that final step of the podium in third position as Gossett clears and makes sure to stay ahead of Joseph Gulata. DiCiani watches on in the catbird seat with Evan C. pulling away as we ride on board with Tommy Gossett in the red, white, and blue Gossett machine. Heading down into turn number 1, he's trying to hug that white line as best he can. You see Evan C. running that middle groove, and some drivers behind are running right up against the wall. Ooh, one car hits the wall off turn number 1 further in the back. Could not catch that driver's number. That could have been Greg Carr in the 25 in the Richard Petty machine STP colors as they work off of turn number 2 heading into turn 3. Gossett shows the nose on the inside to get around Evan C. for position side by side, but Evan C. holds on for the moment, stays ahead at the time being as they come down the front straightaway, nose to tail. We pick up a couple of more battles further back. There's Joseph Kazi going side by side with Luke Christian for the 13th spot. watching on here as trouble for Derek Heitman. He is having some major issues out there on the track with his hardware or internet issues. So we'll see if he's able to continue on racing. He's dropped for a couple of times, but he's still on the track showing as your race leader. Conklin still staying tucked up behind, ready to attack if the opportunity presents itself. And he is going to stow to the inside as we ride on board with Sean Conklin on the Gossett Lines LLC machine. As there goes Derek Heitman again with another little bit of a run. Good run off turn 3. Picking up Matt DeCiani. There's Austin Edstrom in the Stanley Toyota. Trying to hold off teammate Justin Levine in the Mac Tools machine as they head down the Long Pond straightaway. Doing a great job as they work their way through. And as they head down into the tunnel turn of turn number 2, we see Paul Bragoli watching on in 9th. Brandon Pascaluca as trouble. Lou Christian around. And Joseph Kazi for the second time. The Event Sim Racing Chevrolet got a little bit of help from Joseph Kazi. And then Kazi, trying to check up, might have just lost the rear end of his DeWalt Toyota as well. A tough break for both of them as they were both running inside the top 15. Now have to come down pit road. Let's ride on board with Joseph Kazi. It's a good run. Tries to go to the inside. He makes that contact. And unfortunately, with him checking up, that causes him to loop around. Right there's the contact as you ride on board with Joseph Kazi. "27 cars are out there on the track. A total of about 4 did not finish. 1 did not start. Roger Pierce, Paul Hill, Alex Coffey, Randy Mullins all out of the race. Schaffner did not start. 3 cars are 1 or more laps down. That's Chad Kibbe, Richard Kleinman, and John Binder. Lou Christian is the last car on the lead lap coming down pit road this time by as pits will be open. Coming to 40 laps to go. We should be able to make it on 1 more stop. As everyone's coming down pit road to get some fuel and tires. Conklin sends it in deep to try to make up some ground and stay tucked up behind your race leader of Derek Heitman. Now it's a race to see who can win this race off of pit road as they enter into their box. Sean Conklin in there. Evan C. They go around there here to get themselves situated. As off of pit road, it's going to be Sean Conklin, Tommy Gossett, Paul Bragoli, Evan C. Still waiting on him. Derek Heitman will get 4th. And it will be Joseph Gulata, your top 5. While we're under caution here, we'll step aside, take a quick commercial break. You're watching OB Builders Cup Series live on Grid Vision.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Grid Vision's coverage of the OB Builders Cup Series. We are about to go back green flag racing here at Pocono. It's Sean Conklin and Tommy Gossett on the front row as the green flag is back out. And we are once again racing here with 40 laps to go in the race. And Tommy Gossett tried to show the nose to get to the inside of Sean Conklin before they enter turn one. Can't quite do it. Heitman and Bergoli will battle, though, for the third spot as they rocket their way down into turn one. Field now works their way through down the Long Pond straightaway 2x2 as they head down towards the tunnel turn. So far, no one's going to poke the nose out here inside this group. Bergoli trying to get back in line, but Gulata tries to close the gap up and does so. Makes the pass around the outside as Levine and Edstrom battle for position. And Bergoli starting to fall further and further back like an anchor was just dropped on him. Tries to power his way back through turn three. Meanwhile, here comes Evan C. Shot out of a cannon as he comes out of turn number three ahead of both Levine and Edstrom. Sets his sights on Bergoli. Gets around the outside with help from Matt DiCiani. And we hope to not see another caution here tonight, as we hope so, but a tough break for a couple of drivers such as Roger Pierce. He had some issues with his damage here, and it was definitely a tough break for him. He will hopefully get to try again next time, and pulls for his Ryko teammates in this event, who are currently going 1-2 in the Victory 1 team. As we watch the field works their way through out of the tunnel turn so far. Big run coming here from Evan C. as he tries to hold on. A couple of drivers checking up for positions, make sure they can just make it through, as Justin Levine under pressure from drivers of Paul Bergoli and Austin Edstrom as they work their way out of turn number three. Nose to tail, as here comes Derek Heitman with some more issues. We see the driver of Joseph Gulata get around the outside. Back to single file, and here comes Evan C. around the outside. DiCiani trying to pick a lane to figure out where he needs to go, because Evan C. is coming around high, wide, and handsome. Can't quite make it stick as a couple of cars smack the wall off turn one. Gather themselves back up and continue on with the fight for position as they head towards the tunnel turn. Sean Conklin had about a 4-car length advantage over Tommy Gossett. Gulata trying to see if he can break up the Victory 1 madness here as he tries to get in second place. And so far, it's not working to his play as he looks to the inside. And so far, he's got a good run, but not good enough to challenge Tommy Gossett for position at the moment, as Evan C. and DiCiani battle for the 5th spot. DiCiani tries to power away his back on the bottom, but it is to no avail. Evan C. up to P5 as a big run coming from Levine, Bergoli, and Edstrom. Edstrom trying to work the tie side. Levine on the bottom, Bergoli in the middle, and here comes Brandon Pascaluca as the 33 machine had a big issue right there. That's Chris Vinson, who was trying to get himself reorganized and reshuffled. And he will continue on his way in the 13th position. Coming to 35 laps to go as they come out of turn number 3. It's Sean Conklin half a second ahead of Tommy Gossett. And then it's Joseph Gulata, who's in a hard fight with Gossett for the second spot as we ride on board with Joseph Gulata. He's now going to give him a little bit of a push in that CFM racing machine. Now go to the top side of the racetrack, try to build up some of that big momentum to help propel him down the Long Pond straightaway. He's been doing a great job of that heading through here with the outside lane. And as he works his way around, he cannot close the gap here at this time as they head into the tunnel turn. He's got to worry about pressure, though, from Derek Heitman and Evan C., who are closing in on him. And a big run from Evan C., who has been on a tear here since the drop of the green flag on this previous restart. Watching and waiting to see how this all plays out. Evan C., along with Matt DeCiani, trying to get themselves recovered and work their way back up to the front of the field. So far, it's not working in their favor. They're not organized enough to make that run that they are hoping for in order to chase down Derek Heitman. They got a little bit of work to do as DeCiani gets a big run, trying to see if he can go to the inside. Could not make it work. Stays tucked up behind the triple threat of Evan C. Bergoli slaps the wall a little bit right there as we pick up Chris Vinson in the 33, who is trying to chase down Chris Hudson in the 43 machine as we watch a couple of drivers go up to the top side. That's Paul Bergoli in 10th as he tries to work his way through. Pascaluca watches on as a little bit of camaraderie happening here, a give and take, realizing we still have quite a bit of racing to go, just a little over 30 to go here at Pocono. Watching on here, how about the 4 of Brian Johnson trying to make his run into the top 10? He sits just behind Paul Bergoli as we watch Sean Conklin. Here is Brian Johnson sitting in 11th. Having a decent run and running some very consistent lap times, a little bit faster than Paul Bergoli, so maybe having a shot of a top 10 run for him here tonight as we ride on board with that number 4 machine as they head down the front straightaway. Keeping an eye on the competition as they work their way through the OB Builders machine. As we're seeing who else can make a run up through and start making some passes as we're seeing single file. I think everybody's now just settled in, setting themselves up for a good, nice long haul here to the finish because of all the chaos that we had at the opening 70-some laps beforehand. Sean Conklin still maintaining the gap between himself and Tommy Gossett. No pressure from behind. I think now we're going to start seeing some drivers starting to save a little bit of fuel in order to make it to the end. Some drivers may just have enough for one green flag, a green-white checkered attempt if that opportunity were to come. So far, everyone just trying to get through to the finish in order to get the points they need here. Gulata trying to close the gap back up. Tommy Gossett, Derek Heitman right there in the positioning if need be as a couple of cars hit the wall off the tunnel turn as Chris Vinson goes way wide to the bottom of the racetrack. Stays tucked up behind Chris Hudson, but so far not going to work out for him. The choo-choo train is in play here as they work their way through. No one just going out and making passes. They will spread out as they go through the corner, as we see here with Gulata, Heitman, and Evan C. Gulata was under pressure from the driver of Derek Heitman for that third spot. Caution is out once again for Chris Vinson as he loses it off turn number 1. Team Watson Setup Racing Group, and the Hardball Cleaning Services just loops it around off turn 1, smacks the inside wall, and some significant damage to the nose of that 33 Chevrolet. Does he hit that yellow line at all as we ride on board? Car starts to go up, and then around it goes. Smacks the inside barrier, and unfortunately, that's going to be some significant damage to the nose of that 33 machine. While these drivers get themselves situated, we'll enjoy the sights and sounds here at Pocono. We're watching Grid Vision's coverage of the OB Builders Cup Series as we're under caution, under 30 laps to go here at Pocono. And we welcome you back here as we are about to go back green flag racing here at the Pocono Raceway for the OB Builders Cup Series. Taylor Burris here along with Austin Jarvishire. As field works their way down the Long Pond straightaway over towards the tunnel turn. It is as followed. Derek Heitman and Matt DiCiani are on the front row, followed by Chris Hudson and Brandon Pascaluca in the second row. Third row is Sean Conklin and Shane Clore, followed by Justin Levine and Joseph Galata in row number 4. Rounding out your top 10 is Austin Edstrom and Paul Bergoli. Penalty given out to Evan C. So he will have to serve that penalty, as trouble for Tommy Gossett as well during that break, as he is trying to work his way back into the run. We did have a couple of other drivers possibly having some issues here, as I'm seeing what happened. Nope, no issues for that. That is not a driver. That is someone else in the spotter stand out there on the track. As they work their way around, we should get the green flag, get set, ready to go racing. Seeing how it all plays out between Heitman and company, can Sean Conklin carve his way back up to the front of the field, or will he have some difficulty? He's been strong all night long. Him and Derek Heitman have been the class of the field as the green flag is back out, and we are underway once again to put lap number 80 on the board. 25 laps to go for your leaders as they make the long, hard charge over to turn number 1. Side-by-side battle for positions further back as drivers jockey around for position. One driver gets a little loose. That's the 74 machine of Chris David, who washes up the track, saves it, continues on. But big issues for a couple of other drivers as we see Justin Levine and Shane Clore jockey around for position, as Clore is getting a good run in 7th. Conklin and Hudson battle for 4th. Trouble for one car into the outside wall. That's Wortman Jr., who gathers it back up. No caution, but significant damage to that number 28. Meanwhile, back up in this mid-pack and up at the front of the field, Heitman is able to pull out a little bit of a margin over Matt DiCiani. The 6 of Brandon Pascaluca also sits comfortable in that 3rd position as they go side by side a little further back between Gulata and Chris Hudson. Justin Levine trying to find his way as he breaks into the top 5. Paul Bergoli and Joseph Kazi are also battling for position. Edstrom in the mix as well. They are ahead as Shane Clore in the 72 holds on to position, heading down side by side in the tunnel turn. It's Kazi on the bottom, Bergoli on the top, with the 4 machine of Brian Johnson watching on. So far, so good. Everyone now jockeys around. Close call right there for one driver as he nearly hits the outside wall off turn number 3. We watch the 4 of Brian Johnson and go further back. There's Paul Gallimore, who had an issue early on, was able to recover nicely, looking to get a top 15 run out of this as 82 is up on the board. Side-by-side battle between Chris Crosby and Greg Carr for the 18th spot. Heitman is now leading the charge, but here comes Matt DiCiani. He has been picking him up and putting him down as far as lap times is concerned. 0.3 of a second faster than Heitman as he is trying to see if he can hunt down your race leader of Derek Heitman and work his way off of turn number 3. Big run coming to him. Backs off a little bit, though, as he tries to get a bit of a tow down the front straightaway. And so far, lap times is a 53.0, a 52.8. Heitman is in favor now of leading for the time being, as here comes Sean Conklin back in the hunt as well as he tries to find his way around and hold off Levine along with Joseph Gulata. Side by side a little further back between Joseph Kazi and was Shane Clore, who drops back in a line in front of Brian Johnson for position. Can't quite do it here at the moment as he will find his way to set himself up for another run. Luke Christian back in the fight as well in 13th as he scrapes the wall a little bit, gathers it back up and continues on his way. So far, Heitman's trying everything he can to just stay in this race. He's done a great job of leading it at the time being, but so far a lot can still happen between now and the end of the race as they come out of turn number 1, heading over to turn 2. So far, battles for position between Paul Bergoli and Chris Hudson. That is the battle for P8 behind this battle of 7 as they head into the tunnel turn. And as we watch this battle a little further on, Kazi is now trying to get around Chris Hudson for the 9th spot. Does so. Hudson back on the attack as they work their way down the front straightaway. 85 now on the board. It's now down to 20 laps to go. Anything can still happen. Everyone trying to just make sure they can make it to the end. No pressure on fuel. Everyone pretty much has came down pit road and stopped last time by. Watching on, everyone just now single file for the moment, just trying to see if they can cool off the tires a little bit, set themselves up for a run. Field now goes side by side for position here, a little bit further ahead of Joseph Gulata. That is Sean Conklin trying to get around the inside of Brandon Pascaluca for 3rd. He does a great job at getting to the bottom and does so. And Pascaluca will lose the spot to Sean Conklin, but Pascaluca's trying to fight his way back around the outside, clears him, and does so. Here comes, though, the driver of Austin Edstrom. He'll look to the inside of Justin Levine, and as they do so, it's going to be Edstrom ahead of Levine. Beautiful pass on the inside. Ooh, a little contact. That's a little bit of a slide right there from the contact of Levine and Edstrom. Edstrom does a great job of saving it and recovers nicely as Levine tries to fight back around the outside. Field now drives their way around the circuit once again, and Levine has to now recalibrate, regroup, and see if he can make another run around Austin Edstrom once again. And so far, it's not working in his favor. Watching on a couple of other battles happening, we have the 4 machine of Johnson getting around the number 72 of Shane Clore as those two battle for position. Lou Christian right there also in the hunt. As Clore, I think, looking over his information last time around. He's out there on some older tires, though, I have to say. 22-lap older tires along with your top 2 and Chris Hudson. Everyone else has been out there for about a total of 9 to 8 laps for the most part. So a couple of drivers may have to consider coming down pit road for fuel before this is all said and done. If not, the tires, which I know have been good for the most part this week here at Pocono, but still, you're looking at about a 12-lap difference in tires, and it could still be interesting how it plays out, because here comes Sean Conklin and Joseph Gulata. They have been dropping the lap times closer and closer to your race leader, a 52.9 compared to a 53.1 between first and third. Gulata a 52.8. So about a 3 to 4 tenths difference between your third and fourth place driver and your top 2 in the running. No changes up at the front of the field. Everyone's just lining up nose to tail for the most part. Still quite a bit of racing left to go as we're closing in on 15 laps to go in tonight's racing action of the OB Builders Cup Series. Conklin now moving up to second place. He gets around Matt DiCiani. Beautiful pass for position. Gulata will follow suit and move up into P3. Now, Can Sean Conklin chase down Derek Heitman? It's the gap now, 0.6 of a second. Make it 0.7 as they head off into turn 3. Beautiful drive down to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get that run he needs off quarter exit, and does so. Is able to pick up another 10th on your race leader as they come across the line. 15 to go. Conklin looking to continue his dominant performance here with wins this season in the OB Builders Cup Series. Still quite a bit of racing left to go in this championship, but is one of the championship favorites along with points leader Justin Levine, who currently sits 7th position right now. As we watch this battle for the 4th spot between DeCiani, Pascaluca, and Austin Edstrom, who's having a great points night for him after being outside of the top 20 in the point standings. Edstrom now looks to the inside of Pascaluca to see if he can get around him and break into the top 5 here. He thinks about it, ducks back in line, goes to the top side of the racetrack, runs right up against that outside wall. Big run of momentum coming for him with Levine behind it. They both scrape the wall off turn number 1 down the Long Pond straightaway, heading into the tunnel turn. So far as a penalty given to Shane Clore. Interesting situation here of what might have happened. Tough break for Shane Clore, who was having such a good run inside the top 5 at one point. But now we're back at the battling between Conklin and Gulata. Gulata tried to set himself up to get around Sean Conklin for position and could not make it work. He now drops back into line right behind Sean Conklin, heading into turn number 1. And Conklin goes to the bottom. Here comes Edstrom riding high, wide, and handsome once again. Trying to hold off Justin Levine. Gets a good run on the back bumper of Brandon Pascaluca. Can he set himself up for a run to the inside in the tunnel turn? Not working out for him here as they work their way down to the bottom of the racetrack. So far, can't quite make it stick. He's about a car length behind, but Pascaluca is a little bit loose off turn 2. This could open the door for Edstrom into turn 3 along with DeCiani. As Edstrom looks for the 2-for-1 special, Levine looking on in the catbird seat, ready to pounce and try to get 3 for free as they head down the front straightaway here, coming to lap 93 on the board. Field now works their way out of turn number 1 as we work our way through, and got updates from Tommy Gostin of his situation, also having a power outage. A tough break there for Tommy, who was having such a good run. Hopefully we'll see him back next week on Wednesday and Thursday for Top Split and the OB Builders Cup Series. Field now across the line, 94 laps on the board, coming to about 10 laps to go here at Pocono as they work their way back into turn 1. Edstrom and Levine now trying to work the outside, while DeCiani and Pascaluca try to work the bottom. It has its benefits on each part because Edstrom's able to get such a really good run off of turn 1 on the outside lane, as we see right here, riding on board with DeCiani. But DeCiani and Pascaluca are just much better through the tunnel turn compared to Edstrom, and that's where they're able to get a little bit of a breathing room and stretch that leading out of position before entering turn 3. Got 10 laps to go here for your drivers as Levine and Edstrom still are trying to work that outside lane. DeCiani having a good run as Pascaluca also tries to hold on. Bergoli nearly hits the wall off turn number 1 as well, as here comes Edstrom down to the bottom of the racetrack, side by side with Pascaluca for 5th position. Sends it on in, completes the pass. Beautiful drive. Move Edstrom into 5th as Levine tries to follow. Could not make it there quick enough. Pascaluca shuts the door on him. Watching on to see how everyone else plays out, as here comes another big run from Levine, and here comes Edstrom. Big run as well for him with the help of the draft. He'll go to the top side. Everyone else goes to the bottom. See what Edstrom can do with that high side momentum around the outside. Can't quite make it work, but they are making ground on Joseph Gulata and Sean Conklin, as everyone's kind of now balanced back out. In fact, last time by, Edstrom fastest inside the top 5 drivers running on the circuit you see here today, as Pascaluca is losing a little bit of time. But Edstrom and DeCiani making the run up towards Joseph Gulata for 3rd. Edstrom with that big run. Can he send it to the bottom, or is he going to stay to the top side? He will stay to the top. DeCiani watches on, trying to see if he can hold them off, and he does a great run off turn number 1. Edstrom gets a little bit too tight right there. Same thing with Pascaluca. I think he got a little too tight as well, had to back it off. But here comes Edstrom with the big help from the toe to help see if he can set himself up in turn 2. Not able to do so. Backs it off a little bit. See if he can get a better run off turn 2, heading to turn 3. And he does. He is closing. Looks to the inside. Side-by-side battle as we watch Paul Bergoli as Joseph Kazi tries to find his way. As Bergoli had some damage there, and unfortunately will lose that spot to Joseph Kazi as Edstrom moves up to P4. We'll see if we can get a replay of that situation of the pass here between Edstrom as well as also DeCiani. Look at this run that you see Edstrom get as they head down to turn 3. Gets there, sends it. Just has so much better grip on the bottom of the racetrack right there. As does Joseph Kazi saves a big one off turn 1. Meanwhile, back at the front of the field, Sean Conklin, well, he has caught the driver of Derek Heitman. Battle for the race lead with just under 10 laps to go. Normally wouldn't see really a battle here, as Sean Conklin would have easily gotten by Derek Heitman with just how well he's been running all season long. But I think it's a mix of the tire, plus also of how Derek Heitman's been having a little bit of issues on the track with his connectivity. It's a little concerning where Sean Conklin can place his car to get around Derek Heitman for position. Watching on here as the field works their way around. 5 laps to go. Next time by, the big high five from Barney the Flagman about to come out. John Binder has taken it behind the wall. His night is done as Conklin hits the wall off turn 1. A mistake for the multi-time winner this season in the number 10. As here comes Gulata with a big head of steam. He's going to try and challenge for second place as they head into turn number 2. Nose to tail, your top 3 all within one shot as they come off at the tunnel turn, heading down the short chute to turn number 3. Here comes Edstrom as well. He senses blood in the water and tries to make a shot for the podium run as they come out of turn number 3. Down the front straightaway, the gap now is about half a second between Heitman and Conklin. Conklin trying to get a help from Gulata to see if he can make a charge. Edstrom watching on, ready to attack if any openings are available for him. And as they do so, as they work their way around out of turn number 1, Gulata taps the wall. Edstrom taps the wall. Big issues right here as we see some drivers trying to figure it out. Pascaluca having some problem. Kazi having some issues. As Matt DeCiani struggle with his issues on the track as he scrapes the wall. Out of turn number 3, Derek Heitman, an incredible drive that he's been putting on here today, holding off the competition as Gulata nearly hits the wall off turn number 3. Same thing with Edstrom as they gather it back up and make the run. 4 to go. Edstrom now runs the top side. He's the only driver inside the top 5 who's really been running that high line on the outside against the wall. Everyone else sticks to that yellow line on the bottom of the racetrack. One driver, that's Paul Bergoli, taps the wall as a penalty given to Chris Crosby, who is going to come down pit road to serve that tough break for him. As they work their way down the short chute over towards turn number 3. Gulata trying everything he can. A big slide off turn number 3 with 3 laps to go on the board. Edstrom trying to catch up as well. Both of them running identical lap times that time by Conklin, about a 10th faster than Derek Heitman, but just with how the tires are going in the favor of both drivers in different directions, as Conklin gets loose off turn number 1. Heitman dives down to the bottom of the racetrack, snakes his way around to prevent the draft working in favor to Conklin, but it seems like even with that draft, the tires are just working in favor of Derek Heitman, plus the dirty air that Conklin is having to fight off in order to try to find that opening is happening and helping Heitman here in the closing stages. Out of turn number 3, Barney the Flagman has popsicle sticks in the air. 2 laps to go for the number 76 of Derek Heitman across the line, heading off into turn number 1, snaking his way around, sidewinding, left, right, left again before setting up for turn number 1 to hold off Sean Conklin. Conklin trying everything to stay in the tire tracks of the number 76 of Derek Heitman down the Long Pond straightaway. They will go. So far, he is there, but not able to close the gap and close the deal. He's got to set himself up for a good run off turn number 2 to maybe set him a run out of turn 3. You got to have that momentum on your side, and it looks like Conklin just does not have enough. You're on board with him now as they work their way out of turn number 3 to get the white flag. A little bit of a bobble right there for Conklin. Loosey-goosey, hold on to your dear as he taps the wall. A white flag in the air here one more time around the tricky triangle as they head down the front straightaway into turn number 1 for the final time. Derek Heitman in the DS Toyota trying to make sure he can hold on and pick up a win this season in the Napa Auto Parts machine. As they head down the Long Pond straightaway for the final time, he can breathe a sigh of relief in that Bridgestone machine as he gets a bit of breathing room and able to hold off Sean Conklin through the tunnel turn once again. Heading into the braking zone of turn number 3 for the final time, Derek Heitman looking to break the win streak that we've seen out of Sean Conklin. Out of turn number 3, checkered flag in the air. Derek Heitman, welcome to victory lane to pick up a victory here in the OB Builders Cup Series. What an incredible drive here for Derek Heitman to pick up a win this season, and incredible drive to hold off some hard chargers to capture the flag here in the Pocono Mountains. Everyone coming around and giving him a little congratulatory bump in the bumpers, a little side panel, a little beating and banging, a little bit of congratulations here as Derek Heitman takes home the win. Incredible drive for him to hold on here against Sean Conklin. The difference in tires, over 13 laps difference between first and second. So Heitman, incredible job to conserve those tires and make him count here today. As he burns it down here on the front straightaway, Derek Heitman, a winner in the OB Builders Cup Series. For that, we'll give him a few minutes to celebrate, but when we come back, we'll give you a quick rundown of your finishers and interviews with your top three. You're watching the OB Builders Cup Series live on Grid Vision. Welcome back to the OB Builders Cup Series live on Grid Vision. It's Derek Heitman, your race winner, followed by Sean Conklin, Joseph Gulata, Austin Edstrom, Justin Levine, your top five. Brandon Pascaluca, Matt DiCiani, Paul Bergoli, Brian Johnson, and Chris Hudson round out your top 10. Chris Davis, Lou Christians, Chris Vinson, Paul Gallimore with a strong finish here today in 14th. Greg Carr, Joshua Hyatt, Randy Belk, Corey Moore, Chad Kibbe, and Tim Wortman Jr. round out your top 20. Joseph Kazi will finish 21st, followed by Richard Kleinman 22nd. Shane Clore, Chris Crosby, and Evan C. had penalties to serve. They will finish in the top 25 with John Bender, Tommy Gossett, Roger Pierce, Paul Hill, Alex Coffey, Randy Mullins, DNFing, and Josh Schaffner with a D and S. They did not start, so a tough break for him. We'll hopefully see him back next time we go racing. And with that, we'll now get a chance to talk to our podium finishers here today. We'll bring up our first of our front runners. As we'll get a chance to see who we can talk to here. See, making sure we got everyone ready to go. As we'll bring up Sean Conklin, and there's Joseph Gulata. Let's start with Joseph Gulata, our third place finisher. Joseph Gulata up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, a great run for you. You definitely were one of the ones to watch here today, but walk us through how your race went in Pocono here tonight.
It definitely went. I feel like we chased the car the entire race. Just couldn't get the balance right. Didn't have the balance in one that we've had all week in A Opens and NIS. Couldn't get the top to work where I was really, really strong all week. There was just no grip up there. So I had to adjust and learn how to run the bottom in the middle groove. Felt like I had something rolling there at the end, and then ultimately just I stabilized turn one, and then the tunnel and turn three got too tight for me to get any roll speed to try and close the gap in and get on the right side of them. So I mean, it was a great race. It was fun. Better than all the officials this week, that's for sure.
I have to agree with you on that. Well, Josh, or Joseph, anyone you would like to say thank you to?
I'd like to thank everybody at CFM Performance for putting in all the hard work with me here, and hope to get a victory here soon. Absolutely.
That is Joseph Gulata coming home in third place. We'll now talk to second place finisher Sean Conklin. Sean, one of the strong front runners that was here with us all day long, but just could not close the deal. Was it a mix of just the tire situations with the new updates, or was it dirty air? What was that issue that you were missing out to go and chase down Derek Heitman?
It was both. Unfortunately, tires don't matter anymore. You can stay out on 50 lap old tires and you'll be fine probably, and you can't pass in the dirty air. I mean, I went every single lane on the racetrack trying to do so, and it would not work. So, yeah, just I guess we gotta adapt to that with the new build. You know, just used to being able to sit in dirty air and save and then kind of prevail later, but unfortunately you can't do that in this new build. In hindsight, we should have just stayed out. Probably would have won the race. On that last caution there, I was good on fuel, and we were leading, so we were probably going to be good there if it stayed green. But unfortunately, bad timed cautions and just a lot of dirty air.
Well, a tough break for you, Sean, and we'll hopefully see you at the next race next week here in the OB Builders Cup Series.
Thank you.
That is Sean Conklin finishing in second place, and we are now joined by our winner here today, who was able to dethrone, in a sense, Sean Conklin once again this week, and that is Derek Heitman. Derek, a great drive for you here tonight. I mean, was it the tires? Was it just the strategy you made to stay out there? What made you able to hold on for dear life to go up against Sean Conklin?
Definitely the strategy. I thought if we learned anything from the lead, so as soon as I made that very last pit stop and I knew that I was going to be good on gas, I said, I'm not pitting again for the rest of the race. And really worked out. When Sean was chasing me down, I'd drive easy, and then he'd get within 3/10. I'd drive it hard for a couple more laps and get him back to 5/10, and then drive easy. I don't know. It's just this new Aero tire model is just like really, I don't know. You just kind of have to be a lot smarter than you had to be with the old car. Unfortunately, with the new Aero model, as we can see, anybody's beatable now. Because on the old Aero model, Sean probably just blows my doors off, drives away, fresh tires, beats me by 3.5-4 seconds, right? So this new car is nice just because it feels like it's leveled the playing field a little bit for guys that like myself who have pace but have never had the pace to run up front with guys like Sean and Quentin and any other Coke driver, right? So I just feel like there's going to be a lot more strategy involved and being smart with your race car.
So it's safe to say that we're about to see a whole new change when it comes to the Cup cars overall amongst drivers this season and beyond until we see future updates to the next gen.
I mean, I hope they just leave this thing the way it is. I mean, it might need a small tweak here or there because we'll see. I guess we'll see next week how the racing goes. But there's a couple things that probably need fixed. But other than that, as far as the car itself goes, I think it's the most realistic it's ever been, honestly. I mean, my tires at the same time weren't that much older than Sean and the rest of it. I mean, I think I only had 9 lap older tires. Whereas if you think back to like real life NASCAR, like what's 9 lap tires worth? Not a whole lot. You know, you watch a race on TV and it's just like people will pit the very pit window open and really don't pit the rest of the race, or if they do, the 2-tire call, if depending on the track. So I just think there's a lot of learning to be done with this new tire and the degradation, and I don't think that staying out like this is going to work on every single track. We raced Auto Club in a league last Saturday, and staying out like this absolutely would not have worked last week because there was almost 2 seconds of fall off. This week it was I think I ran 52 9s, 53 0s, 53 1s every single lap until the end of the race there. So I mean, there was really 0 fall off. So it just really just made it impossible for the car behind to catch. It became a track position gain. Like I said, I figured, racing here, I figured it A lot more people would have known that, but I just took track position and ran with it.
Well, congratulations, Derek, and we'll see you at the next round for the OB Builders Cup Series.
Yeah, nice talking to you guys again. Shout out Ryko for the great setups every single week. They, parts into these. If we're a little off, we get better. We get better. We get better. I mean, don't matter what the weather is, we're always working on it. Ken does a great job. So Ryko.gg for all your setups.
Absolutely. That is Derek Heitman, your winner here tonight. And we look forward to seeing the next round of the OB Builders Cup Series as we head off to Atlanta next week. And of course, you can catch all the action here live on Grid Vision for our great producer, Austin Derbyshire, the great cameras here from Whiplash Cams, and for the entire Grid Vision organization, including Sheldon Atkins. I'm Taylor Burris, and we will see you next time on The Grid.